Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cauldron of the Serpent. My name is Manus, or I go by Silva. That's my artist name. Not to be edgy, it's Latin for hand of the forest or forest's hand. I thought it was kind of an homage to the land and where I feel most at peace, and peace too, depending. The woods can be, the nature is nature, but I wanted to come here today to discuss my brief observances in nature, not necessarily from a scientific or super study perspective, just being outside and, staring up at the sky, meditating, reverence to the land. I've mentioned here before that I work, or I don't want to say work, that sounds a bit impersonal. I guess I could just say I'm a child of the Morgan, as many of us are, although we might reject it. As I navigate life and drastic change, I like to find inspiration in my surroundings. That's what my ancestors did, and that's what I would like to do. And connect to the world around me. There's so much to connect to outside. And I say that not being a hypocrite, as someone that's very much a homebody, and you can't pay me to unnecessarily go outside. I'm working on it. But I'll probably title this video Musings on the Hawk. As life events can feel like they're just piling up on top of one another. Career, school, death. It can easily feel overwhelming. So I'm taking, we just had the new moon. I'm taking time to really process everything up until this point. I think it's been about 2 years now. I made my first altar to Lilith, and I was just like, I don't want power. I just want to be better. I just want to be better. And that ultimately led me to, Santa Muerte and the Morrigan, Hecate, and honestly, so many others, because there's many epithets, masks, guises, and faces to who we speak with. From that time, I've encountered a lot of resistance from myself and conflicts of identity and who I think I am, or at least the the lie I've told myself and the lies others have kind of programmed me with or fed me over the years to get me to question myself and who I am, and kind of erode away at your confidence. And you develop this dissonance from what you truly desire, like deep inside, and the pattern that your mind is used to. And it's like the two clash. Like your soul desires something different, but your brain is used to the pattern. And it's like a fear response. It's like you your brain doesn't have a roadmap for what you're doing. So things go haywire, or they feel like they're going haywire. As I navigate who I tell myself I am, when I constantly say I'm a homebody, I don't like people, I don't like to go outside, I'm antisocial, or what they say, asocial, all of these things kind of limiting myself from a, not that it's wrong to be any of those things, but when I'm trying to grow to something other, it kind of casts this spell on yourself, and this self-deception. In tarot, it's the Seven of Swords. Perhaps the devil as well in tarot, with restrictions or limitations, or just being used to a rigid structure. It doesn't necessarily have to be addictions or bad habits, or for me, like anxiety, hypervigilance. It can just be a routine that you're used to and that has gotten old. We're kind of groomed into routines because it's for the sake of productivity and ruining our emotion and imagination. But we have to break out of that, and I'm working to break out of that, and it's scary. It's scary. But I'm staying on topic. The hawk. The hawk maintains a vantage point. It's present. They see. They have amazing eyesight. They see all that's going on, but they don't necessarily act on all that's going on. They don't let it phase them like that. For me, like with hypervigilance and always trying to keep my head on a swivel, be here, be there, be everywhere, trying to embody the hawk kind of means I can go somewhere and not be so like, heart pumping, sweating, like being aware but being stressed about it. I can just kind of sit back and observe. One thing I've learned from the Morrigan is very much that that huntress, just observe. Everything doesn't require or deserve your action or your emotional response. Just kind of sit back and watch. Another thing is just connected to the winds. If a bird is injured, it's done for. So it has to carefully calculate its actions and what deserves risk. Being connected to the winds means being connected to change, being connected to the earth, and not being so rigid in everything, with so much control always being stripped from us. The entire world can feel like a rigged game. Those claw machine games that are that are rigged. The world can feel like that sometimes, and we just want to be able to have some kind of control over something, and that can make us very mentally rigid and physically rigid as well, and we develop a lot of health problems. For me, trying to embody the hawk means just kind of releasing a bit of a control. Let the winds kind of push me from one end to the other, just adjust my wings, Let's see. I know I'm saying a lot. I'm trying to work on that. And let's say vantage point. From a vantage point, we can understand others' perspectives to mitigate conflict, even when we don't necessarily agree with them. We may not necessarily like them, but we can understand how they reach certain conclusions. This is not saying you should just you don't have to like everybody. I don't. It's people I despise. Not, preaching any kind of prejudice or anything, but there are those that would not want to see me alive, and that's just the reality of living. There are those people out there, and you have to watch out for those people. But every person isn't that person, and biologically, I have to know that every person I walk by on the street isn't my enemy. It's just not. It's not rational thinking. And getting back to the hawk, I want to, I guess to wrap it up, the message would be not to always, especially within spirituality, we could kind of take on a kind of an arrogant role or a detached role from nature, or only see nature as far as it can serve us or its usefulness in like spell crafting and stuff like that. But there's so much more there, and I think you could form solid emotional connections with the world around you in ways that might surprise you. I know we have like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in buildings, and everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket, but there's so much more to connect to without the deep internalized self-hatred of, I must escape my body, I must escape the earth, I must it's such a weird way of thinking to drink water, eat clothe ourselves in cotton and polyester, but then say I must reject all of it. It's not going to work. I think that's why a lot of people have this deep sense of anger or self-hatred or loathing. They don't like nature because we're taught to reject what we are. Now, however you want to conceptualize the soul and where that started, I don't know. I'm not here trying to convince you of anything. I sure as hell don't have the answers. But I could just speak on where we are right now. And where we are right now is on earth, with the lands, with the spirits, with our ancestors. I can't speak on what's light years away. If something light years away wants to speak to me, then sure. I don't have a problem with that, but I just want us as human beings to have more of a healthy pride in who we are. and not always feel as though we are necessarily above everything. We're not above everything here. We're not lower than everything out there. And I spoke on this in another video I did, but for right now, I think that's where I'll end it. I don't have a lot of concluding thoughts. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I always say I'm going to like come up with a script, but no. Let's see, is there anything else I want to teach? Anything else I want to touch on? Let's see. I guess to conclude, I would say be patient with yourself. What you're doing isn't something a lot of people do. And that's not to toot your horn, but a lot of people just kind of getting old and they're on a hamster wheel, and they don't care for anything more. They don't care for anything to grow. They're just like bolted to the floor. This is where I am. This is where I'm staying. I don't really care what you say. This is these are the ways that I'm thinking, and I'm sticking to it. So be kind to yourself when you're regardless of your path, right hand path, left hand path, middle path, whatever. Just be kind to yourself and say, hey, let me be patient with this change. Don't try to force it. Honor your experiences and your traumas that got you to this point, and how much healing that takes. Healing takes time. It takes a lot of time, but it takes honesty, and that honesty is rough. Like I've dealt with it too, you know. I'm so good at BSing myself. I can BS myself all day. And sometimes that works. It's kind of a defense mechanism. It gets us along, but you know, for many of us, it's time to move on. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you sincerely to everyone who've subscribed to my channel thus far. It means a lot. It means a lot. If you would have said I would be in front of a camera talking to the internet a year ago, I would have laughed you out of the room. I would have said, that's not who I am, but it's who I am now. So everyone have a beautiful day or night. Stay safe. Remember that the land is with you. Your ancestors are with you. And when all else fails, trust your inner wisdom. Find your stillness and press on. Have a good day.